Welcome to the Achieve Results Now podcast, the podcast that gives you immediate actions you can take to start seeing life-shifting results now.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Achieve Results Now podcast. This is Mark Cardone.
And Theron Fight.
So today we're talking about an old, I don't know, is it old adage? Is that the right word?
Well, I don't know if it's old. It's old to us.
Yeah.
We've used it for a long time. I'm sure it's from, we probably should have looked it up before we started the podcast, but we know this saying from decades ago. And we've said it so many times, probably a Jim Rohn, something he would say, that would be my guess. But anyways, it's really good. And it's a mindset, and it's of course about achieving, like our podcast is about, but we're going to break down the quote. You want to say the quote, or you want me to?
Go ahead. You do it.
Okay. So if I can't, I must. And if I must, I will. Now, on the surface, you're like, oh, well, you can't fly, so you're gonna jump out of a plane and you're just gonna will it to fly. Let's not be stupid, right? So hopefully you only thought that and didn't say it out loud, because that's a dumb statement.
Right.
Because of course we're talking about things you're procrastinating with, things that scare you. Like public speaking, as we know, is one of the big things that scare a lot of people. Is it going to kill you? Well, no. So do it. That's what it's talking about. So it's that mindset. So we're going to break down actually every phrase in this with an action plan.
And I love this quote because it's almost a mantra, that we can use to help us get over our limiting beliefs and help us work towards achieving the goals that are on the other side of that. Because I think there's so many things, where we limit ourselves in our abilities. And we've talked about it on the podcast before, but like there's some things you're just not going to be interested in doing, right?
Yeah.
And but it doesn't mean it's a can't. It doesn't mean it's something you can't do.
Yeah.
So let's get into this and start breaking it down. So starting right into action step one, we're talking about doing a resistance audit. And this is really about defining what I can't, in quotes, I can't means.
Yeah. Yeah. And I look at it, think of what are your avoidance zones, right? What are you avoiding? And because that's a form of procrastination, totally avoiding it is one of the, I think, a very common thing that people do.
Yeah.
And so, avoiding it, so you're pretending it's not there, doesn't bother you. And that's something that we need to make sure. And what we want to do is we want to make a list, make a list of here are the things that I avoid on a daily basis or a weekly basis that I want to fix, that I want to improve. And once you have that list down, maybe it's 2 things, 3 things, maybe it's 10 things, that's when you can, now you're giving yourself power to work towards it.
Yeah. And I think like this is a really interesting conversation about, about resources and will and things like that. Because when we talk about avoidance zones, I remember way back early in my real estate career, the people I worked for bought this building and it was empty and it was distressed, right? And they were coming in to help the current owners kind of turn it around. And I remember they said, Mark, we need to get this thing filled in 3 months. And my head immediately went to, I can't, like that's impossible.
Yeah.
But what I really meant was it's going to be like a lot of work, and we're going to have to put some resources in action to get that done.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But in my head, I went right to that I can't. And I think this next step, is important, because once you have that list of things that are holding you back that you feel like you can't do, it's doing that like test. Is it a can't, or is it a won't? Is it a not willing to do the effort? And I think a great way that I always work around that, and a great way to work with it is just to say, if somebody offered me $1 million to do this thing, right? If somebody said, Mark, like, we need you to fill this building in 30 days, and we're going to give you $1 million if you do it.
Right.
Does it become possible, right? Can I maybe allocate 100,000 of that million to resources to get it done, right?
Right.
But I think asking yourself, if somebody gave me $1 million, does it become possible?
Right.
And that helps you cross some things off that can't list.
Right. And then what you want to do with your list is mark one of the things and start, kind of just like you said, that I like the $1 million test is a good is a good test.
Yeah.
But what are the things, what is the resistance, that's happening with you, and mark it down and target. So that way you're working on your next level of growth. You're trying to really go to the next level. with this. That's the whole idea behind it. But you have to identify all these first.
And go deep on it. I mean, really, think about the thing that you feel are holding you back the most. And you don't have to share this with people, because
Yeah.
for some people that belief is going to be, my family's holding me back. It's
Right.
not, right? For some people, it's going to be time is holding me back. It's not, right? But making that list and just getting down to the honesty and picking that thing that's going to move the needle the most
Mm-hmm.
is really what this first step is about.
Yep.
Now, so that's the I can't portion. But now let's go to action step two, which is the I must,
Mm-hmm.
right? And this is really about, the mandate of growth, right? And,
Right.
and what does, framing this into a choice, from a choice to a necessity. I have to do this if I can't.
Right. Yeah. And I want you to think of weakness to weapon. So
Yeah.
you use that that can't as and change it to the must. Use it as a weapon. So adopt the mindset that your inability to do it or want to do it is the reason you should do it. When somebody says, well, I want to start martial arts classes, but I want to get in shape first.
Yeah. All the time.
Or yep, you hear that. No, you join martial
Or
arts to get in shape,
or
because
or
if you
like,
haven't
I want
yet,
my kid to be a better listener before he starts karate.
right?
Right. And you're like, no,
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah, yeah. The excuse is the reason. That's one of the things we talk about in
yeah.
the instructor training. The student's excuse is the reason they should do it, and this is kind of along that same concept.
Yeah, and then I mean, I think something we need to do is, and this is something we talk about, is burning that bridge.
Yeah,
And it's not burning the bridge like, yes, you have to narrow down your focus, but it's really about just like schedule the thing that you're going to do. You know what I mean? So if you say, hey, I can't public speak, go book a talk so you can't get out of it.
yeah,
If you say I'm going to lose 50 pounds, go in your closet and P.S. You haven't worn them in 3 years anyway. Throw out those clothes that you're not wearing anymore because they don't fit. So you have to get there and get that new wardrobe and buy new clothes. There's a lot of things you can do to kind of burn those bridges so that you have to start making progress.
Well, it's a real life scenario that I do is we host our family at the holidays, and I enjoy doing that. It's nice to be home, but I also obviously enjoy getting everybody together. But the other side benefit of it is we get the house looking better,
Yeah.
right? We have a specific date that this is happening. They're
Yeah.
coming over 2 o'clock Thursday. How do we want the house to look? And they're and friends are coming over too. So it's not just my sisters who cares. It's other people.
Yeah.
So um, not that we keep the house messy, but we all know that there's living in the house, and
Yeah.
then when you have company coming over, you spend an hour sprucing it up. And for the holidays, we spend more time to do that. We might paint and do this and that. But my point is, it turned into, yeah, I probably should paint the trim a little bit because it's looking a little dingy.
Yeah.
I'll get to it, and that was
Mhm.
in the summer. Well, guess what? You get to it now because you have a deadline, and
Now
that's
you
exactly what
must.
you're talking about there. Burning that bridge of not people, but in your what you have to do. The next part of this in this step is your identity, and you and I hear this all the time. How people talk about themselves. I'm just not that type of person. I'm not a public speaker. I'm not good in front of people. I'm this, I'm that. And all the things that are negative. And they're already, what they're doing is they're reinforcing their negative identity. And therefore, they're not going to improve. Right. And so you have to start with, you might not enjoy something, but you can still say, I am a leader. I am a good communicator. I am whatever the case is. Just like when we're talking about our goals, we don't say, I would like to lose some weight. I am 20 pounds lighter by
Yeah.
this date. Um, Using and talking your goals in the affirmative is the same idea with this concept, with that identity shift.
Yeah. And this one, I mean, I can't stress this enough. It's so crazy how much a change in language not only makes a difference for how you perceive it, but how other people perceive what you're
Yeah.
doing, right? I get phone calls all the time from people who say, hey, I'm trying to start a business. I'll tell
Oh,
you immediately, when someone calls me and says they're trying to start a business, they're
yep.
not, right? They're
No,
they're definitely not.
no.
But I mean, if you're sitting at that table around the holidays and you're picking some of the healthier options, and someone says, "Hey, what's going on?" Don't say I'm trying to lose weight. Say I'm focused on my health. I'm
Yep.
focusing on my
Right.
health. Instead of saying I'm trying to get out of debt this year, say I'm focused on, increasing my income or starting a business or,
Right.
but the more confidence you put behind that identity of who the new you is, that's really how we make it a must.
Yep. And this is probably why you do it, is you're giving yourself an out.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
mean, that's why you're doing it. So what if I say, "Hey, Mark, I want to work out at the dojo. Meet me at 8:30 tomorrow morning," and we both agree on it. Well, we're both going to show up, right? If we
If
agreed on it.
if I say I'll try,
Yeah.
we know what that means.
Right. Right. Yeah. So so I think it's important. I don't Number one is you're the person that when you say you're going to do something, you do it. You know, this podcast, we do it every Tuesday morning. Once in a while, it doesn't happen. Well, this morning, half an hour plus late. Well, it wasn't your fault. It was just the way it works, but we still got it done. I knew
Yeah.
you were going to show up. Instead of canceling, we just pushed it forward to still make the recording. Now, we have times that we decide ahead of time, hey, let's take this coming Tuesday off. We've already have a couple podcasts in the bank. That's different. But when we commit to somebody, like
Yeah.
I know you're going to show up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to show up unless something, uh, something happens.
But
That's
out
the
of
point.
10 years
Yeah.
doing this podcast, you can probably count on two hands,
Mm-hmm.
the number of
Yeah.
times we've had something come up.
Right. Yep.
So,
Yeah.
so
So
getting into action step 3,
yeah.
I think this is, because we've done the I can't. So if I can't, I
Yep.
must. We talked about turning into a must. Now let's talk about if I must, I will. And
Yep.
really, making that it's not a wish anymore. We're
Mm-hmm.
turning this into a promise of action. And that starts with what we call the do it badly rule, right?
Yep.
Go ahead. Yeah, I know you
Yeah.
want
Yeah.
to talk.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I do, because this is something that I had to learn, and I still have to remind myself many times of this. And the do it badly rule is it's better to do something than nothing. It's better to get started with it, and do it poorly at first to get momentum. Now, there's obviously some things that you don't want, certain launches of businesses, marketing, things like that. I mean, there's certain things that you don't want to do so poorly that it's going to have a negative effect down the road. Of course, there's some of those, but this is in general. You know, the first time you do something, you're not going to be great at it. However, if you never do it, you're not great at it. You suck at it because you never did it. So it's better to do it and get it done. This is that procrastination because you want perfection. That's really the cause of that.
I remember watching this, you remember on Netflix when the Schwarzenegger documentary came out,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah,
which was great. And then right
yeah.
after the Stallone one came out.
Yep.
And I remember, sorry, Sly, I didn't love the Stallone one. I
Right.
thought it
I
was,
agree.
but he did have a quote in there where he said when he was, first starting out and writing movies, he would just toss away 90% of what he wrote. He just wanted to get
Right.
10% of
Yep. Yep.
something good. And if you live your life thinking that way, like I'm going to throw away the
Yeah.
half of this anyway. No one's going to see most of your
Mm-hmm.
failures. I love that do it badly rule.
Yeah.
And when you feel that hesitation, we've all heard like the 5-second rule, the 5-second launch, and I think this is
Yep.
important. It's really just count down, 5, 4, 3,
Mm-hmm.
2, 1, and then physically move, right? Don't let your brain continue the procrastination. Say, I'm going to physically count down, right? I know I need to do 10 push-ups. I keep
Mm-hmm.
putting it off. I'm going to count down from 5, and then I'm just going to do it,
Right.
right? And I think this just helps to spur that action and get you over the hump.
Yeah, and just a little bit on that is I think most of us, we waste so much time in our head thinking about doing it, pondering do it, should we do it,
Yeah.
when should we do it, when's the perfect time to do it, and all that pondering in your head, it could have been done.
Yeah.
And it could have been done 3 or 4 times already, so I love that 5-second to launch rule. Now, the last one is the micro contract. Now, this is something that is very useful for you to do yourself. And it's small little things. Write down your I will things. What are your I will statements?
Yeah.
And even sign it. I will do this, and that way you're making little promises to yourself that aren't so big that they won't get done, but they're, again, micro. That way the chance of them getting done is a lot greater.
Yeah. And I think I like this because this is really where the rubber meets the road, right? This is the
Mm-hmm.
funnel, from where we started at the top
Right.
with limiting beliefs down to an actual action that we're going to start taking today to
Yep.
achieve results now. Because that's
Nice. I
right.
put that in there.
So let's go back and review. So we're talking about if I can't, I must. If I must, I will. I can't stress how much I hope people work that mantra into their life. Write it in a
Yep.
notepad where you're going to see it again. If I can't, I must. If I must, I will. So let's first talk about the I can't. So
Mm-hmm.
the thing, those limiting beliefs, you're going to start by making that list. Are these things you like physically can't do, like flying, or are they things you think will be difficult and you're just avoiding? And make a list
Right.
of those things, right? Then look at it and say, okay, so if somebody gave me $1 million, which ones of these could I do? Like, which
Right.
ones of these would I do? Some of them you might say, even for $1 million, I'm not interested in doing that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
narrow that list down and then try to pick a target. Circle one of those items that scares you the most, or maybe that's holding you back the most, and make that the one we're working on.
Now, the second step is mandate of growth. So this is the I must portion of the quote. And this step reframes activity from a choice to a necessity. And that's key. That's a key mindset shift. So turning weakness to a weapon, burning the bridge of that you have to do it. You're setting. I booked a talk.
Yeah.
It's set. I can't back out now. And then the last part of that is making sure your identity, how you talk about yourself, and stop saying I want to learn or I'm trying to learn versus I will learn, whatever the case is.
100%. And then number 3, action step 3, we're going to get into the protocol of execution, the I will, right? We're going to follow that do it badly rule. We're going to be okay with not hitting the home run on the first try, just doing the best we can and being okay with being terrible at it for a little while.
Right.
We're going to use that countdown, right? We're going to count down when we're avoiding action and we're getting up in our head. We're just going to say, I'm going to count down from 5 and I'm going to go. I'm going to start writing. I'm going to go to the fridge and cut up some vegetables, whatever the thing is, right? We're going to count back from 5 and we're just going to do it. And then we're going to make that micro contract, right? Where we're going to actually write on a piece of paper. These are the things that I'm going to do to get over that limiting belief. Maybe it's, I'm going to, go out and get a book at the library. Maybe it's, I'm going to find a coach. I'm going to find a YouTube video. I'm going to do whatever. And you're going to write that down and sign it, right? And that's going to be your little contract with yourself to get over that limiting belief that we started with. And
Right.
I think this is going to have a huge impact on people. So please, please, please work your way through this and do it.
All right. That's awesome. I think this was a great one.
Absolutely. And that wraps up this episode of the Achieve Results podcast. If I can't, I must. If I must, I will. Share this with someone who would enjoy it. We'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for listening. Hop over to our website at www.achieveresultsnow.com to get your free copy of our book, Ignite Results, 4 specific daily actions to help you achieve results now. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Achieve Results Now. Thanks for listening, commenting, and subscribing. Now get out there and achieve results now.